So, like I did last week, here I am giving you guys another video on Standing on the Mirror Life 100 Men, no inochi, and the changes that may have found place when they adapted the manga into the anime. So, let's just get into this quickly with the very first change that the anime made, which is another added scene or added sequence at the beginning of the episode where they added kind of a flashback type of scene with our main characters, multiple, sitting by a river and the two girls drinking some fresh water. In this scene, Shindo-san and Hakozaki-san quickly mention that Yotsuya hasn't turned in his future plans form yet, which kind of causes them to start talking about their future plans. With Shindo-san aiming to go to a high school specializing in science and technology, and with Hakozaki-san telling her that she's planning on doing the same thing. But in contrast to Shindo-san, Hakozaki-san actually planned out her future much more ahead, to the point where she has already decided that she wants to enter a college that has a pharmaceutical department, since she wants to specialize in pharmaceutical research. So another change that they made in this anime adaptation is that the lock point that I mentioned in one of my previous videos and during episode 1 of Standing on the Mirror Lives, that lock point where our main character sees Shindo and Hakozaki-san talking about which person they would like to bring with them to this world, that lock point, they actually showed that in this episode, so that's episode 2, rather than episode 1 where it was supposed to be in, if we go by the manga. So luckily they didn't end up skipping it, since that scene is pretty important for the character development of both our main character, and to get a small insight of what the two girls think of our main character, Yotsuya. Now, just like in the anime, in the manga, our main character, Yotsuya, does find a group of goblins, which he then proceeds to absolutely slaughter to gain some ranks. However, there are some slight differences in the fight. I believe that the manga did a much better job at showcasing this fight and showcasing our boy Yotsuya's skills in that fight. So in the anime, he kind of just bashes and knees and stabs the goblins to end their lives. Whereas in the manga, he does this freaking cool kind of chokehold with his broken hoe, which is pretty much just a stick by this point. Then he flings his right leg around to pull the goblin down, and then he proceeds to freaking choke him, stab him, bash him, and freaking knee him. So a very, very small difference, but I believe that it kind of shows that our boy Yotsuya, Yusuke, knows how to fight, knows how to use his body, which is pretty important because he needs to, especially in this crazy, crazy isekai world. Now, during the goblin fight, the manga also kind of show us Yusuke's thoughts, where he says, "I hate Tokyo," kind of regurgitating the information that we already know. He also says, "and I hate people that live in Tokyo even more," which we already know the fact that our boy kind of has this weird vendetta against the city of Tokyo. But the manga just kind of shows it to us again. He then also says, I prefer the forest, I prefer nature, even if my life is in danger. The world is 100 times better than that shit stain of a city they call Tokyo. So yeah, I believe this to be a kind of a fair cut, a fair change to the content, since it is literally just a recap, a regurgitation of information that we already know, that is still fresh in our minds, and that the main character just loves to repeat for some freaking reason. He also mentions that in the end, I really prefer working alone after all. So another a bit more significant change, but not really that significant, is that in the anime, one of the goblins that the main character fights, so one of the goblins from the group of goblins that the main character fights, actually escapes, and he mentions in the anime that, hey, I am not rank 9, I'm almost rank 10. If that goblin didn't escape, I would have reached rank 10. Whereas in the manga, he actually manages to kill all the goblins, and rather than mentioning him being so close to rank 10, he actually says, normally a rank 8 is the max in a Japanese game. When do I get an upgrade? I really want to get an upgrade soon. I can't keep going on like this. Then the manga starts to follow the anime again, or rather, the anime starts following the manga again, with him saying that he would really like to have a weapon, a blade, a sword, and then Hakusaki's notification popping up showing him that she has just died. Next up is our girl, Hakusaki's Han, swinging the sword. Small change in the manga, she swings the sword. The boy from the village talks to her, and she actually says that it costs a whole 50,000 yen each month to buy medicine for her, in order for her to stop the disease from recurring. Whereas in the anime, she just mentions that she has to take expensive medicine every month to prevent flare ups. So, no mention of the actual pricing of the medicine he has to take. So, there's no actual mention of the price of the medicine. So, that's a nice little tidbit for you guys right there. Now, actually, in the manga, after our boy Yusuke gets flung and tossed around by the freaking troll, that is actually when the scene happens between Yotsuya and his party members Shindo and Hakusaki-san, where they talk about the fact that Yotsuya hasn't decided yet what he wants to do in the future, and where they are going, and where Shindo-san and Hakusaki-san mention their plans for the future. So they kind of switched that around to the beginning of the episode, I believe, to kind of keep the pacing and the excitement of the episode going in a more steady pace, rather than just interrupting the action with a flashback like they did in the manga. In the anime, as we know, Yotsuya fails to kill a goblin earlier, which he then stumbles across later in the episode, kills him, and reaches rank 10. In the manga, he doesn't fail to kill a goblin, he doesn't let a goblin escape, but he just stumbles upon a random goblin walking around. And he kills that one to reach rank 10 in the middle of the battle. Now in the anime, when our weird pervert dude with his hands on his chest, yeah, that guy, when he appears again in the anime, Yotsuya mentions that his voice is different, whereas in the manga, no such mention ever finds place. So in the anime, they pretty much are changing the voice of the game master every time he appears, I believe. Whereas in the manga, this is pretty much a minute detail that the mangaka probably didn't even think of in the first place. Now, when Shindo-san and Hakozaki-san finally get revived, in the anime they actually look at our main character and ask him why the hell his clothes have changed, whereas in the manga they do no such thing. They pretty much ignore that, which is actually kind of weird if you think about it. So I think the anime makers or the director or whoever realized that and thought, hey, that's actually kind of weird. He's wearing a whole different outfit. He's wearing a freaking chef outfit. Why aren't they noticing it? So in the anime, they actually, when they get revived, they actually mention, hey, you have different clothes on. Why is that, Yotsuya-kun? Also in the anime, Shindo-san says to Yotsuya-kun that his tactic of waiting for the troll to jump, then dodging him, expends way too much stamina and energy, and a mage or magic user like her doesn't have the stats to be able to keep that up. Whereas in the manga, she just simply thinks it, she doesn't actually say that to Yotsuya-kun. Then our boy Yotsuya talks about the range of the beast of the troll. In the manga, in the anime, he simply mentions that the range of his attacks are from his elbow to his fingertips. Whereas in the manga, he actually imagines or is able to see a sort of circle around the troll, which indicates his actual attacking range. Now, another big change, the anime kind of censored this. The moment where our girl Shindo-san stabs the head of the troll and injects him with freaking air, turning up the pressure and pretty much exploding his brains out from inside out. In the anime, we kind of get a black screen type of thing, so it's kind of censored, whereas in the manga we actually see his eyes flying out from his freaking skull. Yeah, it's nasty. Real nasty. Now, of course, the episode ends with our boy Yotsuya walking home with Hakozaki-san. In the anime, he just kind of keeps on talking about bullshit and he just can't keep his mouth shut and says a lot of unnecessary things. This also happens in the manga, only in the manga we actually get the expression of a girl, Hakozaki-san, which is just absolutely great. Look at that face. But yeah, those are pretty much the changes they made this episode. Not much. Again, the anime is fully watchable without reading or knowing anything about the manga. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys found it a bit informative. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.